Wait a second, there's two of them?
Double limp act.
Is two Van Dammes too many?
Oh, wow.
We are starting at the bottom of the barrel here.
I'm doing anything in my power to avoid talking about this movie.
The notes that I have are so terrible I don't even want to read them.
Taco full of turd.
He's got a terrific mustache in this film, too.
Terrible, terrible, terrible.
Give your breath long lasting freshness, Chad is dead.
Broadcasting live from inside the power band, this is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, the Wolverine, along with my super friends, Zarhigo.
Hello.
And Orange Sassy Swirl.
I think you should use my actual name considering it's in this movie.
Oh, shit, yes. And Chad.
What does the other dude say? Like, it's your brother. Chad, it's your brother.
Yeah, that's what Frank says.
Chad, he's your brother. Look at him.
Look at him.
Christ's sakes, he's your...
So are you my brother in this episode, Zarhigo? Chad, he's your brother, Chad.
Yes.
Yes, you are Z Chad Ricci, and I am Slick Stogie.
Slick Stogie and Z Chad Ricci.
What's up, everybody?
Taking down bad guys.
I'll take you down to Chinatown.
Folks, before we get started, I want to remind everybody to follow us on social media. You can find us on almost every social media at EBD Podcast. Welcome to the show, folks. This week we're talking about the 1991 classic Turd Fest, Double Impact. That's right, 2 turds for the price of 1. You don't want to miss this, so stick around for the next hour and a half as we extol the virtues of this film. What was I going to say in the beginning, Chad?
I don't know. Oh, you're going to ask about two Jean-Claude Van Dammes. Is 2 Jean-Claude Van Dammes too many Jean-Claude Van Dammes? Something like that.
Okay, right.
My very first note is actually double limp act.
Oh.
Ooh.
Benny gets the dad joke death early in the show, everybody. I love it.
Whoa, I think that's actually good.
Oh, I do too, but it's definitely dad jokey.
It is definitely a dad joke.
I'm recording it as such.
Yeah, it's double limp act, the adventures of Slick Stogie and Z Chad Ricci.
There you have it, folks. That's our title for this film. Brought to you by Zarhigo.
I like it, man. I like it.
The question we're going to be exploring, folks, for the next hour or whatever is 2 Van Dammes too many? So stay with us as we go on a journey.
Strap on your jammy packs. I definitely got the 2 Van Dammes. Is just, we don't need 2 Van Dammes. 1 is plenty. Thank you. Bye.
I agree.
I avoided the movie when it came out because I was like, okay, the whatever technology they were using to dub him as himself twice into the movie was just pretty atrocious looking, even in the trailers. And I was just like, I don't know if 1 Van Damme in a movie is not too much already. I don't know if we need 2.
Yeah, already the limit of my Van Damme-ness.
Yeah, and then in the trailer, I think they showed him do the split in his
oh my god,
his aerobics onesie, and that was like, yeah, like, no, I'm not, no. So I never saw it until this round.
This is your first viewing
of Double Impact, yeah.
Oh wow.
The more egregious violation, Ben, I believe, was right after he did the split in his tight pants. And he goes in to take over the karate class, and everybody is wearing either a pink or yellow gi. I was like, wait a second.
Dude, like, what the fuck was that? Somebody threw a red sock into the laundry or something. It's like, what are you guys doing?
No doubt. Oh, my God.
Oh, I'm so sorry this was your first viewing, Ben, because I definitely would have watched this when I was 12 and probably really liked it, and now I understand why my dad rolled his eyes every time I said I liked a movie, because if I liked this back in the day, I was clearly a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't have many redeeming, like, it's just, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to digging into this taco full of turds.
Yeah. The Adventures of Slick Stogie and Z Chad Ricci.
Nice.
One of my favorite things about this watch was realizing that the dude's name was Chad, and that it like perfectly plays into the like Chad bro meme that's become a thing now, and it just made me super happy and cringe about my own name being utilized in such a manner.
He's a total Chad.
Oh, such a fucking Chad. I mean, he's got Nantucket red shorts on for a minute there. Like, what the fuck?
Is there even really do we got a high level to bring to the table?
I don't know, man. I mean, I think you kind of touched on it a minute ago with like, do we need two Jean-Claude Van Dammes in a movie? Clearly he thought so. High level's tough, Benny. I don't know where to even begin with that.
I kind of think that might be the only strong point of the movie, really, is the fact that, in some respects, JC pulled it off. I mean, he did, it did kind of, showcase some of his acting chops, like in order to be able to create two seemingly different enough characters.
Yeah, moody Jean-Claude and silly Jean-Claude.
Sure. Yeah. I'm not saying, that he deserves like an Oscar for it or anything, but, it was okay.
Fair enough. I just remember Seagal movies and Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, etc., being just so much better. These are just the turdiest of fucking turds.
We are starting at the bottom of the barrel here,
I suppose.
Well, that was my intent. I didn't want to start with Bloodsport because it's actually good.
Yeah, and Bloodsport, Kickboxer.
And Time Cop is actually a good movie. It's a pretty solid sci-fi film, too. So, I was like, double impact. It's a no-brainer.
I kind of feel like now we need to stop doing the really crappy movies first because it makes me not ever want to do another Van Damme episode, and that's probably a huge disservice to some of those other movies that you mentioned. So maybe we've hit the bottom of the barrel on that format too.
I had wished we had gone with Cyborg first because that one's actually laughably bad, whereas Double Impact is just bad.
Yeah, ditto Universal Soldier. You're right, Ben. We should have done that.
It's all right.
Yeah, I actually really liked, Jesus, is it Kickboxer?
Yeah, Kickboxer's pretty good.
I actually remember really enjoying Kickboxer when it came out. So it's not like,
Yeah.
It's not like JC isn't capable of performing in a good film. It's just that this isn't a good film, man.
Yeah.
It's just not.
It's terrible. I think, if I may, for high level, in the beginning, I was like, all right, okay, this is good. Like, I was like, I don't really remember anything about this movie, but I was feeling it in the beginning, and I was like, okay, Van Damme has definitely, created two characters here, and he's, dialing it in fairly well. And I think that's the one redeeming quality about this movie is that he definitely made the effort to make that happen. Beyond that, there's not a whole lot at all. Really nothing, actually.
No.
Pretty much exactly.
It's pretty terrible. And by the time we got to the Chad being mistaken for Alex, and riding in the car with Zhang to the, dirty parking lot where he gets beat up inside of a shipping container, I was like, this sucks.
It took you that long? Can't believe it took you that long. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, all right, I know. It's, it's really the movie itself. Like, there's some decent action in it. There's actually a fairly decent cast too. It's just the story is like the story really, I could not connect to it at all. Like, with his, his Princess Diana mom and his, like they get killed for what? I'm still not even really sure. And
for a tunnel.
And then they, and they do that giant fucking thing at the beginning to like set it all up. And it's like way too long. And it still doesn't like connect in any meaningful way. So it's really just that the story of, and then, they're so old by the time, like, it's not like they ever knew their parents or they were, so I just, the whole point of them like going in for revenge to, get the guys that killed their parents just doesn't really connect in any kind of emotional way at all.
Well, that's because they didn't do the job of connecting it. And I gotta say, Van Damme was one of the co-writers on the screenplay, so it is his fault.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I remember sitting last night, I only did a single watch on this at your behest, and I was watching that opening scene where everybody gets murdered, and I was like, I remember thinking at one point, I was like, wow, this is really long and really detailed. And it just went on and on and on. So I was like, okay, well, they put a little energy into this. Like, this is, it's pretty good. And then, shortly after, I got very disappointed. That disappointment did not go away for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And that would be right up until Chad gives the okay sign and there's a freeze frame.
It was so bad. I just don't understand how this guy became a star. Like, I'm sure he's a nice person or whatever, whatever, but it's just like, that was just so bad.
You know, I think he's capable of. I think if you put Jean-Claude Van Damme in the right kind of a film for him, he's capable of doing a really good job.
Oh, no doubt.
You know, it's just he fell into like the Steven Seagal trap, I think. You know, he definitely fell into the Steven Seagal trap
of
just the movies continually getting worse and worse, and the ego getting bigger and bigger, and just the
pressure of fame or something.
You know, all of a sudden you're in like the territory of you're making direct to video movies, you know, and they're all more or less the same, and you know.
And you're still not getting it.
Yeah.
You're still not getting it.
You're still not getting it. When you're on Sniper Retaliation 5, you're 65 and you're playing a young spec ops guy. You're not getting it.
You're storing the extra ammo in your face wrinkles.
It's worse in Seagal's case.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he was doing it because literally his ego. I think in JC's case, he apparently had like a $10,000 a day cocaine habit. And a lot of those, all of those direct-to-video movies were fueling his habit.
Nice. It's kind of like when everything breaks down in Boogie Nights. You know, that's a pretty good comparison. That's a pretty good, like, play-by-play showcase, with the exception of nobody went into a recording studio to record a terrible song and then scream at the guy in the booth. You got the touch. You got the power.
That song was actually in the animated Transformers movie.
Wow, that is a nugget of all nuggets, and that's not even the movie we're doing. Jesus, that was great.
That's not even the movie we're doing.
And you know what?
Is it like a nug out? Like a nug out to another movie?
Yeah, there you go. A nug out, man. I like that.
A nug out. Well, much like watching the movie, apparently we're all sort of noping out of actually talking about the movie.
Yeah, we are.
In favor of talking about Van Damme in general or Boogie Nights, for instance.
We've already covered the entire movie, basically.
Well, I was going to say, Ben, that the song that they sing in Boogie Nights, the Transformers song, that's better than this movie. Their rendition of that song is better.
Dirk Diggler's rendition is better.
Dirk's rendition is better than this whole movie.
Now that we've got that sorted out. So someone threw a red sock into the laundry at the dojo, and they came out with hot pink geese, and then that one dude was like, I'm gonna kick your ass, and then Jean-Claude like jump, prance, dance kicks the guy in the face, and it's just like, cool movie, bro.
Yeah. And lucky for you, Chad, the guy was Australian.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. What a punk.
You know? He was like, yeah, you want to see my kicks, mate?
Yes, I do.
And Van Damme was like, well, you know, you were there.
You saw it.
He threw some kicks, man. He threw some kicks.
Only one. That's all it takes with him.
I like that, Van Damme was complaining about having to go to the karate class in his aerobics clothes, but then he shows up at the karate class and they're all wearing pink geese. Right? You know, it's just
like, yeah, you're worried about what you're wearing? Exactly.
Yeah. Sweating to the 90s. It was a very 90s styled movie. I mean, maybe like the one thing I enjoyed for 5 seconds was the ridiculousness of the 90s in this, sprinkled throughout.
Yeah, it's very early 90s.
Yes, 1991. And just quickly for the folks at home.
The whitehead pimple eruption of the 80s, really, more than it is 90s.
Oh, wow.
Fair enough.
This movie, for everybody out there, it was 91, directed by Sheldon Lettich, who also gave us Bloodsport, and it was about a $16 million production, and it grossed $80 million, which is a lot of money back then. So it did well financially. That's it.
That's all we got. The only other thing I could say that's high level-ish is kind of in line with what you guys were saying before about how this was bad and Kickboxer and Bloodsport were generally all right and considered good by many. where like it seems like the martial arts movie structure for him is a much better structure. You know, the like Karate Kid, work hard, you know, punch clay pots or whatever, and then win the big victory at the end kind of traditional martial arts style movie is more suited. I appreciate that he wanted to branch out in this and stuff and show his chops by being two characters and whatever, but maybe that's kind of where it fell down. The combination of the writing and the format is not really suiting him. I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm with you on that. I think you're right. I mean, again, like we complimented his acting ability, and
it's good enough.
There's nothing Oscar Academy Award winning about the work that he's doing, but he does do some good work. I mean, he was great in Expendables too, and you know, Time Cop was actually like a large budget, you know, like a more mainstream film, and that was a good movie. Anytime Time Cop was on, I'm always like, yeah, I'm down. I'll watch that again. You know, despite the fact that he has like a '90s mullet, you know. So
love the mullet. I
think you're. It's not that he was branching out even as much as it was just it's just bad. It's just a crummy movie.
There are only so many ways we can say it's bad, so that's probably it for High Level.
Yeah, that's gonna be it.
Yeah.
Moving into what? Where do we go? Where do you go next with a stew like this?
I propose just a quick digression onto Geoffrey Lewis, who played Frank, who I couldn't place for the life of me. He looks so familiar, and then looking at his IMDb, he's been in like 6 million things.
Oh yeah, he's been in everything.
He's a legend.
Man.
But the thing that made me happiest about reading Geoffrey Lewis's IMDb is that he's best known as the teacher from Only the Strong, which got me so pumped because we brought that up the other day, and I was just like so pumped on the Capoeira movie.
Well, I'm going to just go ahead and drop this now before Chad snipes it later. Sheldon Lettich directed that movie as well as this one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, and this was Sheldon Lettich's first directing job. Bloodsport, he only did the writing on it, and I think I might have that backwards, but Van Damme was instrumental in helping kind of getting him going as a director, and they worked together obviously on a couple of films.
Yeah, right. No shit. Now that's a bad movie that's great.
It is. And Sheldon Lettich also directed, or no, he didn't direct it, but he wrote the screenplay for Rambo 3.
Right.
Hmm.
And that's not the favorite.
No,
Rambo
but
movie.
hey, it is a Rambo.
I think that movie might be a little bit better than this one, don't you?
Hey. Over here.
The notes that I have are so terrible I don't even want to read them.
I quit. I'm looking to see you guys later. The over here Stallone accent is a great little mini transition to the long-haired Guido-y dude that's in the Chinese triad gang that totally reminded me of like an Andrew Dice Clay kind of thing. I really enjoyed that dude.
Ooh, the guy that slits people's throats with his boot spurs?
Yeah, like it was such a ridiculous character.
We got to stop dropping all the nuggets in the middle of the show, but that guy was the stunt coordinator. Huge shocker there.
Okay, is that... Okay, so they just like gave him a role just because why not?
I mean, I know we're jumping ahead, but I remember when the Spurs came out, you know, it was one of those moments where it's like, oh, now you know some shit's going to go down.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they made a point of like it was like a static shot of the ground, and then you just see like one boot and then the other boot with the Spurs. It's like, uh-oh.
It's not the really hot girl getting out with red stilettos. It's the dude getting out with spur boots shot.
Mm-hmm.
Such a ridiculous character. Like the triad has some random Guido on board. It's just so perfect.
And Corey Everson,
who was scary.
Miss Olympia or whatever. Yeah, she was kicking some serious ass, man.
Definitely. She's very 90s.
I liked her a lot. I liked her more than the Guido dude. I thought she was just, you could, you know, like, you know what I mean when I say this, but like you could totally picture a gang bringing somebody like her on just because of how fucking, you know, just be like, yeah, let's get her. No worries. But that same gang wouldn't bring, you know, the Guido dude on.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I feel like you'd get like a strange, I feel like these sort of more European type films get these female heavies, female baddies, you know, certainly in this era of filmmaking, you know, a la Grace Jones and View to a Kill.
Sure.
Or, View to a Kill.
Wasn't there, I want to say it was GoldenEye maybe, but wasn't there a Pierce Brosnan Bond movie maybe where
Yes, Famke Janssen.
the baddie like had thighs that would like, yeah, exactly, Famke Janssen, who was trying to like kill people with her thighs.
That was like her first. That was the first. I don't know if that was her first big movie, but that was the first thing I remember her in because she was like all crazy and all that. But actually, those Bond movies, like they were pretty. And again, here we are talking about other movies.
Hey, whatever.
They typically had a lot of female baddies that were pretty scary. Even Ben, you'll love this for your Never Say Never Again with Sean Connery. I thought it was so terrible. I'm dead. Had a pretty wicked female baddie.
Well, the Sean Connery impression is
was it Catherine Zeta-Jones?
No.
Ah, damn it.
What was the one that they did together where they were like laser dancing around in the like heist movie? Wasn't that Sean Connery and Zeta-Jones?
Yeah, he was. I just really enjoy saying Catherine Zeta-Jones.
I mean, it's pretty perfect
in the Connery voice because it just works.
That was a ridiculous film.
Anyway, so just quickly back to Geoffrey Lewis because he has been in everything. Like this is a little sort of a snippet from a small period of time around this movie. He was in Lawnmower Man. He was in Army of One, A Man Without a Face with Mel Gibson, Tango and Cash. I mean, he was all over the place.
He's in everything.
Chad, he's your brother. Look at him. For Christ's sakes, look at him.
You sound just like him, Ben. You're really on point, man.
Yeah. He's got a terrific mustache in this film, too. It's very...
Definitely.
The mustache-o-meter was rating high.
Definitely, man. That makes me want to comb my mustache. Hang on.
So it's like a perfect parabola, you know. It's very thin over the lip and very perfect little curve, little arc. It's very, very nice. Good stash.
Ben is very adept at breaking down the qualities that make a good mustache.
Fair enough.
Or a bad one. It's a skill. Are we just going to kind of stick on the cast here for a second? We were just talking about, what's her name, Corinna or Corey Everson?
Corey Everson, yeah.
And then we had really famous, definitely from Bloodsport, but also Enter the Dragon, is Bolo Yeung.
Yeah, man, he's legit.
Yes.
Yeah, he played Chong Li in Bloodsport, as everybody on the planet knows.
I had a moment there where I misremembered the moment he came on and thought he was one of the Furies from Big Trouble, the dude that like explodes, but clearly not the case.
Yeah, he's got the same build.
Yeah, so I kind of died while watching this, but that's okay. But he's awesome. I love that guy.
Yeah, he was, again, didn't really have any lines. And, he was in the beginning of the movie and he gets shot. I mean, that's the thing. Like, him and Zhang are the sort of, and really, and Griffith too, they all are there before and after the time jump in this movie. And none of them they don't look any different.
No.
Except Bolo Yeung has like a sort of a white kind of cataract contact lens eye thing going, and then the scar on his face. Zhang looks the same, and Griffith looks the same. Zhang he played the police or the army captain or lieutenant in Bloodsport, who was sort of helping the bumbling FBI, CIA, FBI guys, Forrest Whitaker and the other guy chasing Van Damme all over Hong Kong.
Right on.
So there's a double, a bunch of people from Bloodsport were in this movie. No surprise there.
Kind of makes sense, yeah.
Well, you got the same writer/director and Van Damme, blah blah blah. So yeah.
Yeah, and Van Damme evidently wanted to work with Bolo Yeung again, so brought him on and stuff. So yeah, it all makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I love the you know how much I love a time jump, guys. So,
yeah, it's your favorite.
Yeah, there's definitely a 25 years later with an Interrobang at the end of it for one of my notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of them look any different except like Geoffrey Lewis has shorter hair.
Yeah, exactly. No, they made the effort with Geoffrey Lewis, and they gave him like a wig and dialed in his hair. I mean, he's the most capable actor in the movie,
no doubt.
And then we've got British beauty Danielle. I can't remember her name.
Alonna Shaw.
There you go, Alonna Shaw.
Who didn't get much other gigs after this from my looking at IMDb, so.
Wow, I wonder why.
Yeah, fair. I mean, she's all right, whatever. She's no different than anybody else in the goddamn movie.
No, I'm not. I didn't mean that she was bad. I meant that the movie was bad. It sunk her out, maybe, but you know.
But it did well at the box office. You would have thought it would have gotten her a gig, you know? Like, it's kind of surprising. It didn't bomb. That's the surprising thing about this thing.
I agree. And she was definitely perfectly capable next to Geoffrey Lewis, probably one of the top tier capable people in this situation.
Yeah. Although, like,
damn, if I'm going to call it a production.
Maybe to back up your comment a little bit with, like, to kind of back up your feeling about her character, it just came to me that her character really reminds me a lot of Priscilla Presley's character in Naked Gun, like working for the bad guy and just like ditzing around a bit in the office and trying to like sneak around and stuff. So it's pretty ridiculous writing.
Oh, no doubt, man.
Especially the frisking scene. That was just like, what the fuck?
Oh, God.
That was
cringy.
But and somehow erotic at the same time. I had a very strange reaction to that did not make me feel good.
Did you feel a stirring?
I wrote the frisking was disturbingly erotic.
Butterflies in your tummy there.
That was the note. Yes, that was the disturbing part. Is that there was a stirring, and I was horrified at the same time. Ben,
I will not go to level 2 with you.
Exactly. Nice. Okay, so that's all the main cast right there, except for my favorite person, Griffith, who's played by Alan Scarfe. Strange, interesting name. Hang on, I'm just double checking that.
Mm-hmm.
And we have an ejection death, ladies and gentlemen.
We do. Let me jot that down. He plays what I call the EBD. And no, it doesn't stand for Everybody Dies. It stands for Evil British Douchey. Because in so many movies, certainly around this era, you know, your behind the scenes kind of mastermind boss is an evil British douchey. And this guy played an evil British douchey to a T. And we see him in the beginning of the film when the grisly murder that takes way too long happens. And then, you know, when we really get a taste of him is at that club later when they're drinking champagne and talking about dominating the world. I mean, this movie is a McBain movie from The Simpsons. You know what I mean? Like, it really, I mean, it's amazing because there was a guy on YouTube at one point, I found a video where the guy clipped together all the little bits of McBain movies that are shown in The Simpsons to put it into, you know, like a whole piece. And it's like this movie. It's funny because The Simpsons were writing that stuff like before and after this movie came out. So it's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? I have no idea. But that scene in the club when they're like cutting up the cake that looks like a cargo ship, which like must have taken like months to make that cake. It was so intricate, you know. And why they put so much energy into it is beyond me. But
dude, that was my favorite part of the movie. This is a giant fucking cake.
It is the best part. It's just like that scene in The Simpsons with McBain. But in this movie, it's, you know, we get our introduction to Griffith. He's like, yes, I'm evil British douchey. I'm here to take over the world. Zhang. So terrible.
Yeah, Nigel Griffith would have been right at home on the bridge of a Star Destroyer.
Yes, he would.
And I am dead.
Exactly, Ben. Thank you. Thank you for Thank you for remembering that wonderful show moment.
Thank you for taking one for the team with the Star Wars death.
I'm trying to be more proactive about dying these days.
Oh, yeah.
We appreciate that, bro.
Thanks. Dude, we need to talk about that cake, because that cake was just...
It was so ridiculous.
Like, all these thug gangster dudes are sitting there at a table, and then one poor bastard gets killed. He's like, anybody want more cake? It's like, are you fucking kidding me, man? Like, you're gonna have a cake party, and you're like, henchman? Like, what the fuck? Like, I just went, happy birthday. You know, it's... What the fuck? It's so funny.
EBD was like, yes, happy birthday to me.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Jean-Claude Van Damme's smuggling in fucking explosives in cates of cognac or whatever. Oh my god,
that was
dude.
really clever, man.
It was just like the most ridiculous. It really is like a McBain. Like it's just so.
It is
not
McBain.
even close to plausible.
No, exactly. And it's like, wait a second. There's two of them?
What?
I think we need to have a new section on the podcast called "The Cake Takes the Cake."
Ooh, I like the title, man.
Because this is the second time we've encountered a cake in a film that had a rather epic part.
Oh yeah, man.
First being in
Arnie in the cake.
Yes.
Yeah, Chad, you went off about that cake in that Arnold episode.
Just...
that raw deal episode.
Raw deal.
You guys want to weigh in on this completely infinitesimal detail?
No, the cake. I have one note on this movie, and it's the cake. Her throwing the cake, like it was. My jaw dropped. I was laughing so goddamn hard at that one. It was so funny, the amount of footage, like actual film. They must have had meters and meters and meters of this goddamn footage of her frosting a fucking cake, and like the amount of editing. Like it was like cut to him, cut to her, cut to the cake, cut to the booze, cut to the cake, cut to him. It's just like it wasn't even like A-roll, B-roll. Like
yeah,
it was like the Academy Award for editing goes to the cake scene in Raw Deal, 1986. Are you fucking serious, guys? It was so good.
Wow, man.
Cut to the cake.
The cake took the cake in Raw Deal, and the cake takes the cake in Double Impact.
I like it. Well, then we got to do that Seagal movie where the girl jumps out of the cake. That's the next Seagal movie.
Yeah, the only problem with that movie is that that's actually a good movie. That would be Under Siege.
Under Siege, yeah. That's totally a new theme, is trying to find movies with cakes in it and talk about them.
Kev, I think I derailed you with that statement where you were going to add something else there.
If I did, I lost interest.
Okay. Not I forgot. I lost interest.
Here's how disinterested I am is that, I mean, even though this is essentially kind of one of my picks or suggestions, I was more interested in hearing what you had to say than finishing my own. That is the sign of a terrible movie, folks. I don't know. There's nowhere to go with the cast after this because there's nobody else worth talking about, unless you want to talk about like how lamely the thugs die in this movie, which we can do. But
that's an interesting little micro cul-de-sac where I saw some behind the scenes stuff on this, believe it or not, and they were talking about how in Hong Kong a lot of the stunt guys expect to be like fully punched as opposed to like pulled punches like traditional Hollywood style. So Van Damme commented on how much fun it is to shoot in Hong Kong because you can kind of like actually fight, and it kind of makes the shooting more realistic, which is kind of interesting considering, like you said, how poorly they all die.
Yeah, that's an interesting little tidbit. Stand by. Folks, we'll get back to the mayhem in a second. First, we wanted to take a moment and thank everybody so much for tuning into the show. And we also wanted to let everybody know where they can find us on social media. And here to tell us about that is our good friend Jar Higo.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to find us on social media, you can find us at EBD Podcast on most social media. We're pretty heavy doodly. Doodly, is that a word?
Heavily doodly, neighborino.
It is now, baby.
It is now. We're heavily doodly involved in the crowd that is showing us appreciation on Instagram right now. So if you want to join in the conversation, that's a great place to start.
And here to talk about rating and reviewing is our good friend C-Lab Forever.
Yeah, we would love for everybody to help us out rating and reviewing. We really appreciate all the love we've been getting. And if you're digging what we've been putting out, we would love a rating and a written review if you've got a moment. iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we would also be super humbled if you were to subscribe to the show. We love making this stuff, and we're really stoked that everyone's enjoying it.
And Mulvey here, folks. Don't forget to suggest the show to one of your friends or family members. Thanks so much for joining us. And now, back to the show. So we want to go, does everybody have notes? Should we just kind of do round robin notes?
Yeah. I'll start with I love how much of a Chad is, which we mentioned earlier, but he's such a fucking Chad, dude.
He's such a Chad.
Here's an interesting one. I am certain Donald Trump paid to have his name inserted into this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, right?
That's an interesting point. Yeah, I'd never thought of that, but almost certainly he paid money for that.
And her delivery of that line is just, it's priceless, man.
Yeah.
That's like asking a New Yorker, who's Donald Trump? I was like, what? All right, mine first one would be, I love when they're at the shipping container in the dirt parking lot and Bolo Yeung kills one of his own guys because he doesn't defeat Chad mistaken for Alex.
Right.
In the beginning of the film. So great.
And the way that he kills him is like the weirdest, like chiropractic neck breakage ever.
I have been told that you cannot break somebody's neck like that, and it won't, or it won't kill them. So that's like a complete and total misnomer.
Sure. But there's like movies that kind of make it plausible, and there's like, he basically flicked him on the back of the ear and the dude's head exploded in this one, you know, so it was pretty bad.
Yeah. All right. Next note.
Speaking of chiropractic scenes, when the twins are running around silently murdering people in the boat scene, I loved the like slapping C4, which like magnetically clicked onto various like fuel barrels. I just like lost it in that magnetic C4 bullshit sequence.
God, I love that. Yeah, every movie should have magnetic C4 in it. I think most of these films did.
It's just it's the most 90s stupidity bullshit ever.
This movie shares some pedigree with Die Hard 2.
Yeah?
In the it's got the rolling around on the floor while shooting your guns out over your head.
Good call.
Action sequence.
Oh yeah, you're right, dude. Nice one.
Yeah.
Taken to its logical extreme with the Matrix, where Neo does that like flip shooting thing.
Yes. It's sort of a really clumsy gun kata kind of thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Mark a Matrix death,
Gun
by the way.
Kata.
What did they call it in the Christian Bale movie? There was it Equilibrium.
Gun fu.
No, it wasn't gun fu. There was actually like the here we go departing from the movie again.
I'll get Jimmy Google on it.
What movie are you talking about? Equilibrium?
Equilibrium, yeah. There's a name for like their gun fu that.
Gun kata. It's gun kata.
Is it gun kata? Okay.
Jimmy Google chimed in and saved you.
Thank you.
Old Jimmy.
Oh, and what were the gun kata practitioners called?
Oh, Jesus.
Some really weird name.
Was that the Grammaton Clerics?
Yes. The Grammaton Clerics and the gun kata.
Grammaton or Gravaton?
Yes.
No, it's like
Grammaton.
Grammaton. Like Grammaton. It's like if Grandma was doing reggaeton.
Wow. That was time well spent. Love it.
We're so deep.
All right.
So deep.
So can I get to my next note?
Please.
Glistening. We talked about glistening in, oh my God, what was that movie? We just did it. We kept
Predator
talking
2.
about
Predator
2. No,
It was sweating.
No, sorry, Reign of Fire.
Oh, yes.
So when we talked about Reign of Fire,
Another Christian Bale classic.
yes, I was about to start saying we, but I know it was probably mostly me talking about the level of the glistening in the movie by Christian Bale and certainly Matthew McConaughey.
By Van Zandt.
Anyway, the glistening was profound in Reign of Fire. And then I was also pretty surprised. Alex had a near constant glistening going on during the course of this film. So there was a couple of scenes where he was dry and clean, but I would say he was glistening most of the time in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Slick Stogie did glisten.
Alex had a very Seagal-esque look going on with the slick back hair and stuff.
I was going to say he's sort of like a cross between Arnie and Seagal.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. Chad, you're up.
Oh, right. I loved the moment where Frank is hanging out in the nightclub before the shipping container cake sequence, and the girl sitting on his lap says that he's handsome and looks like Sean Connery. I immediately thought of how many Sean Connery impressions I was going to hear.
Yes. He gets so excited when she tells him that.
Yeah. I immediately thought of Benny.
It's funny. He's like, ooh, ooh. There's no line there, really, you know.
Yeah, there's nothing. There's no material, man.
There's no material. Unless, you know, you're picturing, like, Connery watching the movie and being like, that buffoon looks nothing like me.
Exactly.
There
Perfect.
you go. Yeah. And I'm just trying to think of a Van Damme because we haven't even touched that either, impression-wise.
I can't.
Hey, Uncle Frankie. Hey, it's me. It's Chad. Oh, God damn it, Chad. You weren't raised in France. I didn't raise you in France.
Van Damme is tough because he basically has a French accent, but he really plays it down. So
Yeah.
he like tries to get rid of it, but he doesn't quite succeed. So it makes it tough to
God, the amount of money they spend in a given film, like covering up and explaining away the accent, is pretty staggering. Because in this one, it was that scene, so that's a whole scene, and then you got the whole the Chinese nursemaid bringing the baby to the French orphanage.
It's like a French nunnery.
Exactly.
So ridiculous.
So awesome, man.
Well, we raised you in France, but now we live in Hollywood. It's like, oh, it makes sense. Yeah, no worries. Perfect.
Right. And then it's like, oh, well, why do you, wait, hold on, Alex, why do you have a French accent too? Oh, because you were raised at a French orphanage in, nunnery, in Hong Kong. So you wouldn't pick up any Chinese. You would only pick up the French accented English of the nuns in the orphanage. Yeah, that's totally plausible, man. Who's up?
I believe I am the one. And okay, the fashion in this movie really is
astounding,
steeped in 90s-ness, but there is one particular thing that takes the cake, I think. And
ooh, what's that?
It's when they're on the boat out to their little hotel island thing, and Chad is wearing this spectacular mauve shirt that has, it's like triple pleated but across the shoulders. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. With the tie, that weird tie.
The weird tie, yeah, man. I was just like, what the holy shit. That is a 90s shirt right there. My God.
Oh, my God. The shoulder pleats were just tremendous.
Yeah.
Chad was chatting out so hard.
He was, man. I'm pretty sure that shirt was Z Chad Ricci right there.
All right, next up for me, I've got the scene where Alex gets jealous when he finds out that Chad has gone back and he's hanging out with his girlfriend and has like a freak out. And he punches the phone, and it reminded me of that scene in Kung Fury when Hitler shoots a bunch of people through the phone. Like, punching the handset is going to do anything, and I just cracked up.
I love that. My next one is the tender moment on the boat when they're taking the ferry across the bay, like sort of in the beginning, and we kind of get the first taste of Danielle and Alex together, you know? And it's kind of like this tender moment, and then they just start tongue boxing like nobody's business right on the boat. I was like, wow, really? Unnecessary.
Yeah, the weird sex fantasy scene thing was just the weirdest excuse to get some boobs in the movie.
Oh my God, that was bizarre.
That was
Alex getting drunk, and the other two.
Is that what you were talking about, or were you talking about another thing?
No, dude. I was talking about the in the beginning when they're on like the ferry. And they're sitting next to each other.
Right,
it's like
right.
all those people everywhere, and it's like it actually like is genuinely kind of like a tender moment. Like I mean that legitimately, as hard as that may be to comprehend. And then he just it's not even that he jammed his tongue down her throat. Like they both do it. Like and just
Right.
I was like, wow, okay. Way to ruin what could have been a redeeming quality of this film. Anyway, I just called it a film.
They start playing tonsil hockey, and it turns into softcore porn, basically.
That's it.
Pretty much.
That's it. Tonsil hockey.
Well, it sounds like I might have sniped your next nugget there with the sex scene thing, Benny.
You totally did. Well, in general, just you know, the whole scene of Alex, you know, fucking chugging down a bottle of whiskey and having all these weird fantasies about, you know, Chad like hooking up with his old lady, and just that whole thing. And even the whole subsequent fight afterwards between them was just dumb, man. It was just really dumb.
Just an excuse to get a fight, Van Damme versus Van Damme.
Yeah, that's all it was. It was just to set that up. And it was just, you know, again, the believability and connection level that the whole thing portrayed was just non-existent.
Yeah.
And just the amount of resources that they wasted on that entire thing is just tremendous.
The fight was relatively plausible in terms of shooting. Like the earlier scenes with the two of them sitting side by side, where one of them was like fucking 4 shades lighter than the other one because of the technology, was just so bad.
One of them looked like a Force ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, my next note is this. Chad just wants to dance.
Fair enough.
You know, like
I do.
He's just always. I know you do, and it's a trademark of Chad's everywhere. I mean, he just kind of like he doesn't. I don't know. It's so poorly done, but like he doesn't take a lot of it seriously, you know. And it's like when he goes into the club with the tux on, he's like a 14-year-old kid. He's like, hey, I got a tux on and a case of cognac. Look at all these people dancing. I just want to dance, you know. Like, God, it was so dumb, man. And I feel like he's like that throughout at a lot of points in the movie.
I feel like he's like that. I feel like that is Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, he is kind of like that. He does that in Kickboxer.
It's a very famous dance thing in Kickboxer, yeah. But yeah, it's weird that, you know, Alex and Chad are twins, but for some reason they're always portraying Chad like he's the you know, the naive younger brother, you know, like it's bizarre.
I'm surprised we didn't get that classic twins bullshit of like, I'm 7 minutes older. It's exactly the kind of dumb shit you'd hear in a movie like this.
No, he says something even dumber, which is the one thing I remembered from this movie for years, was Van Damme as Alex with the cigar and the slick back hair saying, yeah, but I would never wear black silk underwears.
Fair enough.
It was a terrible Van Damme impression.
I got a chuckle out of it. Fuck it.
Oh, man. Well, it's Van Damme as Alex, though, you know?
That's true.
He did drop his voice down a little bit there.
If Van Damme spent a few years in a Chechnyan gulag or something.
Have Van Damme and Lambert ever been in a film together?
No, but they should.
Or a Herzog. I'd actually love to see Van Damme sit down opposite Herzog. That'd be amazing. Whose turn is it?
All right, it's your turn, Chad. Go.
Okay. My only other kind of note that I've got on this movie is less of a random little nugget and more like one of the main action sequences, which is when Chad goes back to save Danielle and they end up like going through the secret passageway into the worst foot chase in the history of cinema. I was so not entertained and yet entertained with just like the absolutely horrible foot chase.
Yes, it was that whole entire sequence, because this is one of my notes as well, is just ridiculous. Starting from the phone call where we get a shot of, you know, again, I never figured out what was the whole point of that stupid old burned out hotel, but like there's Chad in the quote kitchen, okay? And this first bit falls really more into the gripes of Kev category. I was like, I'm noticing all the chickens hanging everywhere. Did anybody else see that? I'm like, what is this? Like, there's raw chickens hanging up like they're in a restaurant. You know what I mean? Instead of a bird shit infested hotel that hasn't been occupied in 40 years. Like, I was like, okay. And then she's like, and he's like, oh yeah, we'll be right there. We come pick you up. And then he hangs up the phone and he runs outside. And he's like, guys, where are you? And then he's like, oh, well, I'll just take the boat. He just jumps in the boat and goes like he knows where anything is. I mean, dude, this is so completely absurd. Goes and gets her and then everything that you said. And then the scene, Chad, I just had to add this on top of what you said. The scene of them running over all the boats, like they did that entire bit in Bloodsport. Like, they already did that. Like that, they did the exact same thing in Bloodsport. It was like,
and the entire chase sequence, the two of them are holding hands. They're just like,
yeah, so stupid, man. Jesus, what? Talk about a waste of time and resources, man. Holy moly!
So maybe that's more of a gripe than a note, but it was just a silly one.
You guys basically have covered everything else that I had on my list here. You know, outside of me, you know, like actually writing on the page, I want to know about so bad right now.
I didn't write this down at the time, but like the kind of closing out fight on a boat, while it's dumb and been done a million times, the kind of like container shipy crane, there's some interesting bits there, but I don't know. It's just the same old shit.
Yeah, it was a lot of the same old, but I got some satisfaction about watching EBD get crushed by that shipping container. So
fair enough.
I have a few more notes. Chad, what else do you have for notes?
I don't have any more notes. I've got some miscellaneous that are probably just going to end up in the nugget category. So feel free to have a field day.
No, I just got a couple here. One of them being, so when there's that giant fight, of course, breaks out in the Climax Club. That was the name of the club.
Of course it was.
Where the McBain meeting was. And Climax Club, both those words started with a K, just to make it extra cool.
Much like the candy bar.
Ooh.
There's an Asian guy who gets thrown or kicked by Van Damme, I think, and he flies across the room and he lands on two cocktail tables, and they are not like breakaways, and they're not made out of balsa wood, and like he lands on them so hard.
Yeah, that's true.
Rolls onto the floor, and I literally wrote like, God damn it, that had to hurt like hell, man. Like when those tables don't give, like it hurts. Jesus.
Yeah, man, that's like a throwback to that the thing that Van Damme was saying. The Hong Kong stunt dudes just. They don't fuck around.
Yeah, there you go.
Just go for it.
And then following up that, there was a just absolutely ridiculous scene where I think it's in the same spot. It might have been when they invaded that compound, which is just such a stupid scene in this movie. But Van Damme is like shooting somebody, and then he notices a glass right next to him, picks the glass up, takes a drink, and then crushes the glass with one hand.
Oh yeah,
and then,
yep.
Leaves. Like I was like, what?
They really took all the advantage they could out of that rock candy dinnerware they had made.
Oh, nice, dude. Yes, totally. Oh, the only thing that this is my last note. The only thing we left out of the what I called the she's changing bang dream, in which Alex is positing whether she's getting banged by his brother. You gotta love, and this is sort of akin to the amount of rain in the Ice Pirates sex scene. Oh, that movie was a total piss take. This was not. And this movie had as much wind blowing around during that bang dream sequence that they had rain in Ice Pirates. Like her hair was just blowing everywhere and the clothes were blowing everywhere. Then all of a sudden she's naked and just there's wind everywhere. You know what I mean? It was just so stupid. It was like a bad perfume commercial from the 90s or something,
No, that was a Cinemax. It was a Skinemax movie. It was definitely a Skinemax style movie. It's exactly what I thought of.
Oh, God, yeah. Total Skinemax movie. Yeah, right on. That's all I got for notes.
We touched on the ending a little bit with the final battle. Is there anything to add there or not really?
Oh, the ending sucks like the rest of this movie. I'm interested. You know what's more interesting to me now is like how angry I'm getting about this movie. But the ending sucks like the movie. And there's some great parts. I mean, there's always got to be a reason for Van Damme to get shirtless. And then his shirt just kind of falls off, I think, or he takes it off. And then Bolo Yeung takes off his shirt. Now we got two guys. And there was this really great part, like when they start fighting, and then Bolo Yeung takes his shirt off, and he points at him, and then he points at himself, and then he makes this circular motion, and then he like punches his palm with his other fist. And I was like, what does that mean? Is that sign language for you and me are going to take a trip together around the world and then we're going to be together? Because it was so stupid, dude.
Not nearly as stupid as him immediately starting to pick up full fuel barrels and chuck them around like it's fucking Donkey Kong.
Oh, God, yeah. Exactly. Like, what was with the barrels, man? Throughout the whole movie. I mean, really, like, he was all about picking up barrels. And I couldn't tell, were they indicating that they were empty or full? Because either way, they're heavy.
Yeah, either way.
I literally just spit coffee everywhere.
There's one movie that should happen, it's this one.
The old exploding barrel trope.
Followed quickly by the electrocuted bad guy trope. Like it's just tropes after trope after trope.
A lot of tropes in this movie, and the electric panel was great because it looked so crappy.
It was a pretty good. I thought he did a pretty good electricity dance, though.
Oh, totally.
No, he did. I was just commenting on like how junky and old the panel looked.
Yeah.
So I think the best line in the entire film comes from the end. And that line comes from Evil British Douchey, in which he says, and I did not have to write this down, I memorized it because it was so damn good. You really don't know which side your bread is buttered, you silly bitch.
Jesus. Nice. Classy. Just for the record, I think having a container dropped on you would be a pretty crappy way to go.
I agree.
It'd be quick, but it'd be pretty crappy.
I really wish he had said like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been great. Evil British Douchey, totally.
The hand being ground, his arm being ground up in that gear was pretty cringy too.
Oh, it was terrible. That whole sequence with Zhang the entirety of it was cringy and just awful.
But as soon as the dude gets his hand crushed in a gear, like, fight's over, dude. Like, he's not. You just got your arm ripped off, man. Like,
yeah, I don't think you're having any energy for trying to throw out clever quips after that. You're done. You know. You're just...
Wait a second. I'm confused. I might have missed something. So was it when Alex's shoulder rubbed up against the gear, or did Zhang get his arm caught in it? Did I miss something?
It was after the shoulder, yeah.
After Zhang gets his, yeah.
So Zhang does get his arm caught in there.
Chad puts his arm through it.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's why he's up on that's why he's up on the thing laying sideways, and he's like, oh, we could work together. I'll tell you everything.
Yeah.
You know, I'll give you half of everything. I was like, all right, whatever, dude.
Just throw the fucking mannequin off the crane, fade to black. Okay, freeze frame.
Exactly. And let's be done with it. Exactly. Terrible. Also, I found that the end of Corey Everson was very unceremonious.
Yeah, she just got like tiny knife to the liver, and that was it.
And it happened in like 2 seconds. Like, if there was going to be like a thuggy boss fight, like that was the time to do it.
Yeah.
I kind of thought that the other girl would go up against her and win, like that common trope kind of, you know, player 2 fights sub-villain 1 kind of trope, you know?
Right.
I thought Corey Everson was very menacing in this movie and great as one can be in Double Impact, and I thought her ending was very unceremonious. It sucked. It was just like, you know,
Yeah, she's sent out like a chump.
Yeah, it was two seconds, and then it's like a knife to the thing, and she's like,
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Lasai, dead. The other thing, too, was Frank getting his, like, mustache blow-dried the whole time and screaming. Like, that dude would have been, like, steam burns over 80% of his body. Like, you wouldn't have even been able to recognize the fucking guy. But he's just like, oh, hey, guys, yeah, that turns out I'm not dead. Thumbs up on the victory, you know, like, later on.
Yeah, I loved that, man. I loved how he walked around the corner and he was like, you guys.
Nice work.
You finally figured out your brothers. You guys.
I'm surprised he didn't go up and, like, pinch their fucking cheeks, you know? It's just like, God damn it.
Oh, my God. I cannot wait for this to be over.
The reassuring ass slap.
Yeah, good game.
Yeah, exactly. Like a reassuring butt pat.
Yeah.
And we all know that JCVD has the buns to do it.
It's true. We'll get into that in the nuggets, no pun intended.
The actual literal end of the movie, Chad giving the okay sign, freeze frame like Grossman with the coffee from Chips is just
total Chips ending.
Terrible. The only point it gets is that it is a Chips ending. That's it.
Nuggets deaths ratings?
Yes, please, Nuggets deaths ratings.
Oh, I actually don't have any movie nuggets. I have Jean-Claude Van Damme nuggets.
Yeah, go for it.
A very well-known piece of sci-fi movie trivia, which I'm sure you guys are very familiar with, is Jean-Claude Van Damme was the original Predator.
I did see that.
Who was kicked off set when they changed it from the like hot pink Predator to the Predator that we know and love.
Yep.
Evidently, like, there's mixed reports about it, but he thought he was going to be like a half-human Predator where they were going to get to see his face, and he was so pumped about going up along Arnie, like, as Van Damme, doing jump splits and kicks and shit, and I'm so thankful that didn't end up in Predator. And yet, he went immediately from getting booted from Predator into that Goran guy's office, and Goran, like, gave him Bloodsport out of pity. And that was what launched his career. So I just think it's an interesting thread.
Very interesting thread.
Van Damme was also considered to play Simon Phoenix in Demolition Man, which It's worth saying out loud.
What? Really?
Yep. And speaking of his buttocks, evidently he has constantly and consistently bragged about his ability to crack walnuts with his ass cheeks.
Oh, come on, dude.
I'm not joking.
In the sense of somebody placing a walnut on the cheek and then hitting it with a hammer, or him literally putting the walnut, putting it in the crack and then squeezing the buns together?
You know, like pulling back his, aerobics outfit and like blooping it down his butt crack, and he just squeezes and it shatters like The Godfather,
Good God, man.
Nobody's eating that walnut, man. Nobody's eating that walnut.
The only other nugget I have, I kind of dropped them all. Sheldon, Lettich, Van Damme, that whole relationship and blah, blah, blah. But the only other one I had was that Andy Armstrong, he was the second unit director and the stunt coordinator, and he played Alex and Chad's father in the beginning of the movie. And that's not even really that great of a nugget. So,
Technically, it is a nugget, though, so well nuggeted.
Yeah, it was, it's a nugget. So, that's all I got.
That's all I have to say about that yet. Deaths?
We got a few. There might have been a couple I missed, but I think I got them all.
You ejected.
I did eject. I ejected on Alan Scarfe.
Totally worth it.
Yeah, definitely worth it. Me, I also died on a bad Connery impression, and then Chad, you died on that Struthers thing.
Oh yeah, yep.
Benny had the honor of Star Wars and also the dad joke death.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I had a Matrix death.
Oh, snap! You did.
I think I had an equilibrium death too.
a perilously close to Batman death.
Oh, well, you definitely had an ejection on Equilibrium. Yeah, that was just a whole kind of a shit show. The two of you kind of died on that.
Whatever, man. We got to the that cool whatever they were called. What were they called?
They were the tetragrammaton. Or they were just the Grammaton Clerics.
Grammaton Clerics. Yeah, exactly.
That's a pretty cool name. I gotta admit.
I'll take a death for that.
All right, let's rate this turd and go home.
I want you guys to talk me into rating this lower than Zardoz, because I kind of feel like I want to rate it higher than Zardoz.
What?
No way.
Dude, Zardoz blows this away by miles.
I just didn't give a fuck. Like, I was so not into the, like, I don't know. Listen to Zardoz if you want to hear what I thought about Zardoz. If I guess, like, the actioniness of this was something that I, like... It's easier to digest than someone trying to be super philosophical, I guess. So that's my argument for why I enjoyed it more than Zardoz. It's a fucking terrible movie. Like, I wouldn't recommend people watch it, but this one.
You wouldn't recommend this movie? You wouldn't recommend this movie?
Double Impact. Like, I wouldn't recommend people watch Double Impact. Like, I think, like...
This is probably one of the few movies that I would not recommend.
I think this movie, like, made it clear to me that picking a shitty movie as a first go-round for... certain actors might not be the best way to do things going forward, because I'm super hesitant to do any more Van Damme now, but I think I'll be proven wrong, because I agree that things like Kickboxer and Universal Soldier are good movies. Chad's
discovered a major flaw in the show structure and the show philosophy.
I'm hoping that this is a random one-off shit show of a...
Well, I can assure you that it is, and I also think it's hysterical that this movie had that kind of visceral effect on you.
Yeah,
like, that says a lot right there. So, based on that, you rate it however you want, man. If you want to, I still don't see how you could possibly get that this movie is higher than Zardoz. No, there's just no way.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess in hearing your reaction to me proposing that makes me think that my desire to rate it higher than Zardoz is more nostalgia based than reality based, and the algorithm is not about nostalgia. So
no,
it means that it's a sub 1. I do feel as though I might have been a bit too harsh with Zardoz. We discussed it in the episode where I only watched it once, so.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll put it at a 0.8.
Holy shit! I mean, Zardoz. The fact alone that it is like a artistic piece, they are trying to tell 1974 technology. You know, this movie is 1991. It's almost 20 years later. That alone lifts Zardoz way above this turd fest.
Fair. Who's next?
This is really not a very good movie, but the way the improbability drive works, you know, is the way that it works. So this movie gets the crappy cigar box, the empty cigar box that was gifted to Alex and Chad's parents at the beginning of the movie, which later ends up in the hands of Zhang. It gets that cigar box.
That's right. That he got in an estate sale 25 years ago.
He gets an empty cigar box that makes Van Damme's butt twitch when he sees it. Thus cracking all the walnuts.
So in theory, it's a 1, you know?
Yeah, I get you.
Wow, a 1.
That's the lowest you've ever gone, I think, Benny, isn't it?
That is the lowest he's ever gone, I'm pretty sure.
It might be. You know, Van Damme does a pretty good job, considering, like I said, he's not winning any Oscars, but he does a pretty good job, but it's not, nothing can save the movie from the shitty story, really. It's
totally fair, man.
It's the most egregious thing is it's just, I didn't connect with the story at all. It was just like watching shit happen on the screen and, you know, some decent fight scenes and some bad jokes and, you know.
No, but the story is terrible, man. I mean, my God, dude, there's one scene, right? We didn't even talk about this. So there's a scene where it's like the two dams and Geoffrey Lewis and Danielle, and they're talking about the tunnel. Like the whole thing with the tunnel is just so ambiguously vague, you know? And he's like, we got to get back this tunnel. It's their goddamn birthright. And she's like, oh, that's going to be a tough sell in a court of law. And he's like, I was there. I got the scars. I don't need proof. That's my proof. It's like, oh my God, really, dude? Like that's not proof. Like that's just stupid. Like and then it really just becomes about them killing EBD and Zhang, and what proof do they even have? What documentation? Like there's no connecting thread. I mean, this is supposed to be the literal point of the movie, is avenging their deaths and getting the tunnel back. And it's like when Geoffrey Lewis delivers that little line, I mean, it's just terrible. It's just so dumb. And then they never really seemingly even go in the direction of getting the tunnel back. And then the movie ends on Chad's stupid Grossman moment from Chips. Like, I don't know, just dumb. So yeah, you're right. I mean, the problem is, and I guess I'm kind of segueing into my own rating. Like, it's just terribly written, you know. And I'm surprised because Sheldon Lettich wrote Bloodsport, and like that is a literal classic. Like, yeah, sure, there's some funny, cheesy little bits in Bloodsport, but it's freaking great, dude. You know, and I can't wait to talk about that in contrast to this terrible film. So I'm really surprised that this is as bad as it is, considering the writers were, you know, the same.
Well, it sounded like, Benny, I thought you dropped in earlier that this was co-written with Van Damme, whereas Bloodsport probably wasn't. Was that you, Benny, or was that you, Kev?
That was Kev.
Okay, because that might be the reason it sucked.
Well, it may be. So anyway, before I go any further, Ben, did you have anything more to add to your improbability rating?
No, you expounded nicely on what I had started there.
I have a quick question for you though, Benny, which we kind of touched on earlier though, is like, this was your first viewing. So like, does it paint it in any certain light for you? Because like I can say, oh, I wouldn't recommend anyone watch it, but this is your first watch. I mean, is it because you watched it now that it's a complete debacle? If you had watched it when you were younger, do you think you would have connected, or anything in that space that's worth commenting on?
Well, it didn't give it any nostalgia points because I didn't see it before, but I definitely remember avoiding it, you know, seeing that it was, you know, Van Damme playing himself and a twin of himself. I remember thinking, you know, at that point, I'm not watching this movie. Yeah. It's going to be terrible. So,
but you watched other Van Damme and stuff though, at that back in the day, I would imagine.
Yes. Yeah. I just had no interest in this one. I thought it was just going to be terrible.
And you were dead right. So yeah, what were your final thoughts, Kev?
I'm just wrapping up my rating. All of that being said, I will give Van Damme points for creating two different characters and doing a pretty serviceable job with it. I can't take that away from him. So I'm going to give this, man, this one's tough. I'm going to just give it a 2. That's pretty damn low. Low enough. It's terrible. I actually don't recommend this movie. Like almost every other film we've done, even if it's been just like terrible or dated and cheesy, it's like, yeah, go watch it. You know, it's good fun, whatever. This is just like, it's just so bad. You know, like I remember losing interest in the second watch through of Reign of Fire, but that was the second watch through. And I had seen this thing before. This is just no.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's amazing that it did as well as it did in the box office.
$80 million. It's freaking mind-blowing.
Yeah, I don't remember what the actual rating was on Rotten Tomatoes, but I was hunting around to see what people thought of this movie because I was wondering if I was being too harsh on it. And it's like the audience score and the tomato score are like pathetic, really bad. So
wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Shit all over it, Festover.
It's a rare one where we're like pretty much lockstep.
Yeah.
It is so rare when we have a lockstep movie.
There's almost always one person who's just all about it.
I just remembered one of my other nuggets.
Indiana Jones nugget, everybody. Swooping in under the door. Grab your hat.
Sliding in under that door.
Sorry, man. The nugget, this is worth noting because we all don't like this movie, is that there is a special collector's edition Blu-ray of this movie. Like, what could they possibly have put in that package?
A different movie? You buy it and it's got something else in it? I would actually buy that, I think.
It does have a... because, I looked at some other ratings of people that actually really enjoyed this movie, and one of them was like an actual review of that particular Blu-ray version of the movie, and apparently it has like a bunch of extras and like a really long documentary about the making of the movie, and yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for those who are true Van Damme fans.
Different strokes for different folks.
Oh my God. You know what I'll do? I just went on Amazon because I was curious about the reviews.
Buy it.
I'm not going to buy it. I will read a couple of the review. I'm going to read a couple of the review titles. And the first one's the best. Perfect for anyone with an IQ of 80.
Oh, ouch.
Wow.
Double impact indeed, with quite a good performance from Jean-Claude Van Damme. Wow.
Okay. It's worth noting that this is now officially the bottom of the algorithm, by the way.
Double your pleasure. This is like you know what this is? Nobody said this. This is like one of those stupid Doublemint gum ads expanded into an almost 2-hour movie.
Yeah, and then like it freeze frames on them jumping off the boats in the harbor. Stay fresh a little longer. Give your breath long lasting freshness. Oh, that's Big Red. I'm dead. Chad is dead.
That's Big Red, but I really, really like hearing you sing it.
Oh my God. Can we throw that at the beginning of the episode?
Yeah.
That's what this is. This is a Doublemint gum commercial expanded into 2 hours.
It even ends. I mean, you called it the grossy ending, which I totally understand. But didn't those Doublemint gum commercials always sort of end with like the
a freeze frame,
okay sign, and the wink and the smile, freeze frame sort of thing? Yeah,
yeah, something like that. Yes, Ben, I think you're right.
Maybe the whole thing is an elaborate joke on us, and if it is in fact an extended Doublemint funded gum commercial, it's genius, and I have to give it a better rating. So maybe we should start a conspiracy theory that this is actually a Doublemint funded movie.
It fits right in with our EBD podcast fan theories.
Chicanery. Yeah, I'm totally down with that. That makes me so much happier about doing this episode now. I love that we salvaged my opinion of doing that this week. Perfect. Like Kev's actually looking up if it is funded by Doublemint gum.
Speechless.
No, I'm not. I'm sorry. I missed that because I was just I got caught up on this one review by a user named Aikido Master on Amazon.
It was, you know who that was?
It was Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal.
You know, I showed Jean-Claude everything that he knew before he did this movie, and he even styled his hair after me with his Alex character. You know, while we were training, we ate a lot of donuts, and, you know, all that went right to his buns.
He ain't cracking walnuts these days. Stop reading reviews and give us an outro, Kev.
Hold on, I gotta ask Orange Sassy Squirrel, what are we doing next week?
Did you just call him Orange Sassy Squirrel?
Yeah, I thought that's what he said.
That's what I said earlier.
And I was like, oh, that's even better. Yeah.
Next week, we're finishing up The Boys Season 2 with the second half.
Ooh, that sounds exciting. So there you have it. Stay tuned for that, folks. We hope you enjoyed listening to us eviscerate this terrible movie, and I don't recommend that you watch it.
Ever.
But thanks for tuning in, and please don't forget to love us and rate us and review us and all that good stuff. And until the next time, I'll say until the next time.
See ya.
Adios.
And that's going to wrap up this week's episode, folks. If you'd like to support our show, you can on your various podcast mediums of choice. You can rate us and you can review us. And we would love a review because it really helps us out. Also, tell somebody to check out the show. It really does a lot for spreading the word of the show. You can find the show notes for this episode in your podcast app of choice or at our website, ebd.fm/episodes/76//75. You can find us on various social media platforms at EBD Podcast. So please join us in the conversation, make requests, comment, like, dislike, whatever. We'd love to hear from you. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode, folks. Stay tuned next week for Season 2, Part 2 of The Boys, and we'll see you next time.